Hola Jake, bienvenido a nuestro Sonido Radar Next Moves, nuestra nueva entrevista de sonidoradar.com, donde revisamos nuevos talentos emergentes de Latinoamérica, Chile y bueno, ahora del mundo. ¿Cómo estás?
Great, how are you doing?
Bien, aquí tratando de sortear la cuarentena y escuchando tu música que ya está afuera, tu nuevo disco. Jake es bien conocido tu liderazgo en la banda Hippo Campus, han tocado en Lollapalooza, Booner o inclusive South by Southwest. Pero ahora nos vienes a presentar tus nuevos sencillos Vampire y May, que dan inicio a esta carrera solista, que ya tiene un álbum afuera. ¿Cómo fue este proceso y cómo decidiste llegar a esta carrera solista?
Great question. So I've been talking about doing a solo record for a while with the producer BJ, who produced this record. He also produced Hippo Campus's record Landmark and Bambi. So after Landmark ended, we talked about doing a solo record just because we got along so well creatively. But I didn't really feel like it was the right time. I had a whole bunch of tours to go on. And then right after we finished Bambi, I was like, okay, I think now's kind of the time to start working on this. I was going through like a lot of crazy personal stuff. I was going through like a really intense breakup. So I had kind of a story to tell, like as an individual, for the first time. And from there, BJ and I just spent like every gap between touring on that Bambi cycle, like working on this record. I played like 112 shows or so on that cycle, so I was very busy. But every spare moment I had, I was in our rehearsal space, kind of like demoing out songs, writing songs, and then I'd bring them to BJ. We'd like hang out over the weekend and kind of like destroy them in a cool way, like rip.
Estos singles y este álbum han sido bastante personales, lo creaste girando también, pero ¿cómo ha sido hacer canciones en cuarentena?
Quarantine's actually been really great for me creatively. I'm used to, again, like playing like 100 shows a year. I've basically been on tour for, 6 years straight. I was never home for more than 2 months.
So much?
Yeah, so much. But like quarantine's actually been a really great time because I've been able to kind of focus my energy on writing and also production. So I've been learning a whole lot about production and getting a whole bunch. So short answer is yes. So quarantine's actually been really good for me creatively. But personally, it's been tough for sure to be inside and not play shows. But.
Tu álbum homónimo Lupin ya está disponible en todas las plataformas. ¿Qué emociones podemos encontrar en este álbum?
Oh yeah. Emotions of this album. I think overall, I mean, it's a breakup album for sure. I was going through like a really intense breakup. I'd been with the person for like 7 years or so. It was like, I jokingly describe it as a marriage, and it was kind of like a marriage. It was essentially like I went through like a divorce at, like 24. So the album is obviously like sad, but I think there's feelings of like self-discovery and like self-empowerment, which I think are important. That's kind of what making this record was for me, is kind of gaining back a relationship with myself and like a greater sense of self-worth as an individual. So I think like emotion-wise, yeah, it's sad, it's vulnerable, but I think it's also like empowering and yeah, it's empowering.
En Estados Unidos ya han pasado por un proceso de elecciones, han estado también en recurrentes protestas. ¿Cómo han sido estas demandas por más derechos? Y si sientes que estas nuevas elecciones, con un nuevo presidente ya a cargo, le han dado un poquito más de unidad o podrían darle más unidad al país.
I mean, it's hard to tell. Everything is so divided. It's like even the left, like right now, is like very divided. I mean, the president we have in office right now is obviously like the worst president in history. He just divides people. That's like his whole goal. It's just to divide this country and send us into a panic so that we, depend on the president to kind of like, give the president all the. It's like the same as like, Germany or something like that, like in the 40s, which is, crazy. So I mean, I'm hoping that if we could vote him out, and I think there's a good chance that we will, that our country could begin kind of healing and unite again. But times are so uncertain, and I think this like pandemic has only like further isolated everyone. It's like it's hard to get together around something. We're all so isolated. We can't even like see each other, meet, or hang out. But I was at a lot of the protests in Minneapolis when George Floyd was murdered, and it was really great to see the community coming out and protesting injustice. So that gave me some hope for the future that like protesting can actually change things, you know, in a very real way. I was more as to protesting did, but it's proven now, you know, we're trying to get better.
Sobre este álbum, ¿hay algunas fechas de presentaciones pronto, ya sea online o inclusive presenciales?
Not at the moment, no. I think like the plan is potentially doing some like virtual shows. I'm kind of exploring that idea because I do want to perform this song, and I have a band, or these songs, and I do have a band picked out of friends who are all very, very talented. And I'm looking forward to kind of interpreting the songs live in some way, shape, or form. I don't know if it'll be a show. Obviously, if shows like resume next summer, I'd be super open to doing it, but we'll have to wait and see, I guess.
Sobre este concepto rojo de los singles y el disco, ¿cómo surgió y de dónde nace la idea?
The concepts, I guess it was just, I mean, it was just like, they're very personal. It was like exactly what I was going through at the time emotionally. Like the songs are pretty much like straight up documentation of like how I was feeling at the time. You know, I never went into a song with like, ooh, I want to write a song about this, or like this idea. Like my writing process is always very like subconscious. I just kind of like put the pen to the paper and start writing. And then I just kind of let whatever come out. And oftentimes it's like just exactly what I'm feeling in the moment, you know? So like thematically, they just deal with, you know, everything that was going on in my personal life. This album is like a story of my year, you know?
Jake, ¿tienes algunas palabras para la gente que te escucha o que te va a escuchar después de esta entrevista sobre estos tiempos tan difíciles que estamos viviendo?
That's a good question. I think like trying to use this time in a positive way, whether it's like self-discovery. I know that like I've used this time to kind of like grow my craft and get better at like things that I wouldn't ordinarily have time to get better at, like production. I think if you could kind of use this time to channel into something, it can help bring you some peace and some like sense of self-worth. I think also like this time has just like shown us all kind of like what's important and what we need, you know, how important our friends are, how important our family is. So I think like, you know, taking a step back, realizing what's important to you, realizing that, you know, you might have time and the space to take up something new or learn something new, you know, can be positive things gained from such a crazy time.
Lupin, Jake, muchas gracias por participar de estas nuevas entrevistas Sonido Radar Next Moves, donde revisamos los nuevos talentos de Latinoamérica, Chile y el mundo. Muchas gracias y espero te encuentres muy bien.
Of course, thanks so much for your time. Appreciate it.